Hey guys, welcome back to Worth Building, the podcast about what it really takes to build a small business that lasts. And today we're talking about marketing. And I want to start with something that I wish I had understood much earlier in my business. You can have an incredible product, you can provide exceptional service, you can even really care deeply about your customers, but you're still going to struggle if no one knows you exist. This is especially difficult for small business owners. We want to believe that if we're good enough, people are going to find us. And if we create a beautiful store, people will just walk through the doors. If we make a great product, then people will tell their friends, right? And if we build a nice website, people will come, right? And just find it like the field of dreams, right? If you build it, they will come. And sometimes they do. But after 10 years in business, I've learned that hope is not a marketing strategy. You have to continually give people a reason to discover you, to remember you, and to trust you so that they eventually will buy from you. And then you have to do it again and again and again. That's marketing. So today I want to talk about what I've learned about marketing after 10 years of building a business and what I got wrong in the beginning and what I would tell a small business owner today who feels like they're constantly trying to figure out the question, how do I get more customers? So when I first opened my boutique, marketing wasn't something I thought of as a system. I had a store, I had products, I had customers, few, but I had customers, and I posted on social media. We had events to bring people in the doors. I'm sure people told their friends about us. But I think without realizing it, I just assumed that if we did a good job, the business would continue to grow. And there is some truth in that. A great customer experience does create good word of mouth in the community, and a great product does create people who want to come back and buy again. But eventually, you need new people to discover you and more people to discover you. And I learned this the hard way when I opened my second location. So we had a great grand opening. There was excitement. People showed up. There was like a line down the block. Sales were strong. And then all of a sudden, it was quiet. Like after the first week, it was really quiet. And one of the mistakes that I made was assuming that that initial excitement meant that it would be consistently busy. But I hadn't thought too deeply about it. And I didn't realize that there wasn't going to be enough foot traffic. And I hadn't built enough awareness about it. I didn't have enough of a strong marketing engine to continue to bring people through the doors, new people. And ever since then, I realized that a great opening is not a marketing strategy, and neither is just a great product or a beautiful store or having 5,000 Instagram followers. You need a repeatable way to get attention. So marketing isn't something that you do when sales are slow. Say that again. Marketing isn't something you do just when sales are slow. This is really, really important. Small business owners have a tendency to market very reactively, right? So when sales are great, we're just busy filling our orders. Life is great. We're helping customers. We're doing inventory. We're managing our employees. We're doing all those things that need to get done, but marketing gets pushed to the back. But then sales are going to slow down. And suddenly we're like, oh my gosh, sales are slow. I better send an email. I better post more. Should we run a sale? That's a big one. Or let's boost something on Facebook. I've done it. I've done it over and over and over again. But here's the problem. The marketing you do today often creates the sales you might get weeks or months from now. So you can't just continually turn the faucet on and off and like do some marketing and then not do some marketing. It has to happen all the time. It can't just happen when you're slow. It has to happen when you're launching. It has to happen when you're not launching. It has to become a part of the operating rhythm of your business. And that's when marketing becomes a system instead of just an emergency response to having a very slow day or week. So you need people to continuously discover you all the time. And here's a quick question I think every business owner should be able to answer. How did new customers discover your business last week? Not the existing customers, but the new customers. Where did they come from? Did they come from Google searches? Did they come from just foot traffic? From your Instagram? From TikTok? From YouTube? From Pinterest? Because someone told them, like a word of mouth referral? Did you have an event? Was it the podcast? Or a paid ad, like a Facebook ad? And if you don't know where your customers are coming from, that's something to start to pay attention to, because businesses need a constant flow of new people entering the top of funnel. Top of funnel being like the top level where people find you the first time they interact with your business. And someone might watch one of your videos today And then they might follow you next month. And then they might join your email list 3 months from now. And they might not buy for 6 months from now. And that's why one of the biggest mistakes we make in marketing is judging everything by today's sales. It's common for us to post something and then be like, did this make money? I mean, maybe it did, but perhaps that post just introduced you to 50 new people. And that's valuable too. Marketing isn't always about the harvest. Sometimes you're planting the seeds. Another lesson that took me a really long time to understand, it's a hard one to swallow, and that is you're not selling to everyone. The clearer I've become about who we are and who we're trying to reach, the easier marketing has become. You don't need everyone to buy from your business. You just need your people, the people who understand what you're building, the people who value what you have to offer, the people whose problems you can genuinely solve. And if your marketing is designed for everyone, it usually resonates deeply with no one. So instead of asking, how do I get more followers? Instead, ask, how do I get more of the right people to find us? That's a much better question. 10,000 people who don't care about what you're selling aren't necessarily more valuable than 1,000 people who deeply trust your brand. Your reach matters, but your relevance matters much more. So the next thing is that your customer doesn't care about your product as much as you do. Okay, so this one hurts a little, but it's okay. Entrepreneurs love their products. We think about everything. I think about the fabric, the feel of it, the packaging, the features, everything that goes into making a great piece of clothing. I know everything about it, the details. But our customers haven't worked on that piece of that piece of clothing for 6 months, and they don't wake up thinking about that piece of clothing like I do. They wake up thinking about themselves, about their life, their problems, their desires, their frustrations. So instead of just asking like, what does my product have to offer? It's will it do for my customer? Okay. So there's a difference between the features of a product, like there's a pocket here or it's quilted on the inside, than what the product is going to solve for a person. That's the difference between features and benefits. A customer doesn't necessarily want a cardigan. She wants something she can put on in the morning and immediately feel pulled together. Someone doesn't necessarily just want accounting software. They want to stop feeling anxious every time they open their financial reports. And someone doesn't just want a business coach. What they're really looking for is clarity. They're looking for confidence. They're looking for someone to help them to decide or to know what to do next in their business. And great marketing is what makes that connection. Your product is the vehicle, and the customer's desired outcome is the destination. So make sure that you're talking about the destination. Okay, next, trust is the real currency of marketing. One of the biggest things I've learned from selling directly to customers is that people rarely buy simply because they see something. They buy because they trust the decision. They trust the business. They trust the product, and they trust the quality. They also probably trust that they'll be taken care of if something goes wrong with the product or service. And this is why I think so many small businesses misdiagnose a sales problem as a pricing problem. Someone doesn't buy something if someone doesn't buy something, we think, oh, it must be too expensive. So we discount it. But maybe the price wasn't the problem. Maybe they just weren't sure. Maybe they didn't understand the value of what we were offering. Maybe they hadn't seen enough reviews. Maybe they didn't know whether it would work for them. Maybe they hadn't heard of you or your story or about the backstory of your business. Maybe they just met you. And when they're uncertain about things, it's going to kill the sale. So what good marketing does is it reduces uncertainty. That's why things like testimonials matter and why education or showing behind the scenes matters. That's why consistency matters. If you keep showing up, people are more likely to trust you. Founder stories matter. If people know something about you, they're more likely to trust you. Okay. Next thing to remember is that consistency beats virality. If I had to choose between one viral post and showing up consistently for an entire year, I would choose consistency every time. Because virality feels exciting, but it doesn't build your business. Okay, so think about the brands that you trust. You probably didn't see them just one time. You've seen them repeatedly. You've heard about them. You followed them. You read something that they wrote. You saw a customer wearing their product. You received an email from them. You walked past their store. Eventually, that business becomes familiar to you. And familiarity creates confidence in buying. This is why I don't think the goal of social media should simply be, how do I go viral? The better question is, how do I become unforgettable to the right people? That's a very different marketing strategy. The next thing you want to do is remember to build an audience that you own. So if I could go back 10 years, one thing I would take much more seriously from the beginning is building an email list. Now, social media is valuable, but you don't own Instagram, you don't own your Facebook account, you certainly don't own your TikTok. And you know that algorithms change all the time. Reach changes all the time. The platform changes, and you can't control any of it. Your relationship needs to extend beyond someone else's platform, and that's why email matters. So if a customer gives you their email address, it's incredibly valuable because you have a way to reach them outside of social media. So give them a reason to join your email list, like giving them early access to products, or if it's an educational offering, give them a special discount. And treat your email list like the asset it is. Don't only email people when you need money. You need to serve people in your email list as well. Here's something I want you to write down and remember. One piece of content that you post should do more than one job. And this has become increasingly important, and I've gotten more intentional about this. As a small business owner, you don't have a lot of time. And so you're constantly creating content, but if you create the content, use that content in multiple ways on multiple channels. Like this podcast could be a YouTube video and also 3 shorts and also an Instagram carousel. It could be threads. It could be made into an email. It could be a blog post. I could use it to pull out quotes. So people generally just post one and done and never use that piece of content again. And if you do that, you're really missing out. And by doing this, you're not being repetitive. You're actually being more efficient. Because here's another thing entrepreneurs forget. You're tired of your message long before the customers have ever even heard it. So I get sick of myself, but my customers haven't even heard it yet. And so my mission, my values, I need to repeat them over and over again. I need to share my ideas, my products over and over again, because your customers aren't paying nearly as much attention to you as you think they are. And that's totally okay. So here's the simple marketing system I would build today. If I were starting a small business from scratch, I wouldn't try to be everywhere. I'd build something simple. I would choose just one discovery channel. Somewhere where new people can find me. Maybe that's Instagram. Maybe it's YouTube. Maybe it's just Google. Pinterest is always a good option. TikTok, if that's your thing. But I would choose just one relationship channel. And for me, that would almost certainly be email. And then I'd build a consistent rhythm. So every week, I'd create something that helps people discover you. Create something that builds trust. Make an offer. Tell them about a product. And then follow up. That's it. You don't need 47 marketing strategies. You need a few good ones that you can execute consistently. Marketing should produce revenue. I'll say it again. Marketing should produce revenue. Sometimes this gets lost in conversations, but your business is not a content company unless content is what you sell. So likes, hearts, views, nice, followers are nice, But ultimately, marketing needs to help move people towards becoming customers. That doesn't mean every post needs to say, buy this now, but your marketing system should have a path to revenue, a way to discover you, a way to build trust with people, a way to start building relationships, give them an offer, a purchase, return, referral, all of these things. If you're generating enormous attention, but no one's moving closer to becoming a customer, then something is broken. Something needs attention. Vanity metrics can make us feel like marketing is working when the business results say otherwise. So you want to track both. Here's the marketing question I ask differently now. So early in business, I often thought, what should we post today? Today, I think that's the wrong starting point. I'd rather ask, what does our customer need to hear today? Maybe she needs education about something. Maybe she needs reassurance. Perhaps she needs inspiration. Maybe she just needs to understand why we are different than other clothing brands. Or maybe she needs proof. Maybe she needs an invitation today to buy something that we have to offer. That shift changes marketing from what do I want to say to what does my customer need to know? What do they need to know about us to build that trust? It's customer-centered marketing, and I think it's much more effective. So if you want to simplify everything we talked about today, remember these 6 words. Discover, trust, remember, buy, return, and recommend. Discover, can people find you? Okay. Trust, are you giving them reasons to believe in you? Remember, are you showing up consistently enough so that you are going to stay top of mind, that they remember you? Buy, have you made the decision to buy easy on them? Return, are you giving customers a good reason to come back to your business? And then recommend, have you created an experience worth talking about? Are people going to tell their friends about you? That is marketing. It's not just Instagram. It's not just advertising. It's not just email. It is the entire journey. So this week, I want to challenge you to what I call a builder's challenge. And I want you to take a blank piece of paper and write the words discover, trust, remember, buy, return, and recommend. Under each word, write down what your business currently does. Then look for the weakest category. Maybe you are great at getting attention, but you're terrible at the follow-up. Or maybe your customers love you, but not enough new people are discovering you. Maybe you have traffic, but your website just isn't converting. Maybe people buy once, but then they rarely return. Don't try to fix everything at the same time. Diagnose the problem and then pick one. And ask, what could I do consistently for the next 90 days to improve this? That's your marketing priority. Just focus on one priority. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from today's episode, it is this. Marketing isn't something you do because your business isn't good enough. You market because your business is worth discovering. You need to tell people about your business. And that shift really matters. You don't have to feel embarrassed talking about what you sell. Don't. You don't have to apologize for sending an email. They gave you their email address. You don't have to feel uncomfortable making the offer. You're just telling them what you have to offer them. You've created something that helps people, so telling them about it, that's not annoying. That's your responsibility. And after 10 years, I just now have the confidence to tell people about my business and communicate what we do, what we sell, and make it seem like I'm not selling, more like I'm trying to serve. So just keep improving. Don't forget to tell people that you exist, because people can't buy from a business that they've never found, and they can't become loyal to a business that they forget about. Marketing's not just a department in your business. It's not just one Instagram post, and it's definitely not something that you just do when sales get slow. It's ongoing. And you need the help of the right people to discover you, trust you, remember you, and eventually choose you. So thanks for joining me today on this episode of Worth Building. If this made you think differently about marketing, send it to another small business owner who might need to hear it. And here's the question I want you to carry with you this week. How many new people discovered my business today? And if you can't answer that yet, that's a really good place to start. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep building something worth building. Bye for now.